For a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com in a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Oren Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
All the leaves are brown. And the sky is gray. And the sky is gray. California.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, where the cuisine is always California politics. And the main entree, the recall of Gavin Newsom. I'm pleased to be here. What a good Friday it is, my friends. And I'm pleased to be here tonight with, of course, our cashier, Randy Economy, and our main chef, Oren Heatley, who's cooked up the recall to begin with. And I'm accompanied in studio tonight by a man who always helps us out, Eric Early. Say hi, Eric.
Hey, Mike, it's great to be here with the head maitre d' tonight and all you great, amazing people who have changed the history of the state politically and the history of the nation with this incredible recall movement that you guys have led. It's an amazing thing to behold, and I'm proud to be here with you.
And we're just getting started. Randy, how are you doing tonight?
You know, I guess I'm doing pretty darn good down here remotely in undisclosed location here somewhere in Southern California, and I think we're going to have a great show tonight.
I think we're going to have a fantastic show tonight. We've got Graham Ledger and our documentary person, Jeff Roldan, coming on, and a lot on the platter. We're going to put some topics on the platter here in just a second, but let's get to the man who cooked this up, the guy in the kitchen, Oren.
Glad to be here tonight with you folks. Order up.
Wait, give us a better ring than that, Oren. There you go. All right. We've got a lot ordered up here tonight. You know, it's been an interesting week, hasn't it, gentlemen, for the polls?
It has.
What I find...
Absolutely.
Yes, it's incredibly fascinating, and we're going to talk about some things I'd like to see them polled tonight. But, Randy, how do you feel about the polls asking the same question over and over again? Like that's going to change the outcome, that there's going to be a recall?
Well, you know, Mike, and this is interesting. I probably have done at least, I think we probably have done 20, 25 interviews this week with news agencies in regards to this latest poll that came out that shows Gavin Newsom, ahead, and that that he's got a sizable favorability rate, and that the recall is dead on arrival, and we just kind of scoff at that because the only poll that matters, Mike, as you well know, and Oren and Eric and everybody else, is the only poll that matters is the one on Election Day. Mm-hmm. And that still is many, many months away. So, again, polls are only good as they take them during that specific day. And then after that, they're old. They're old news.
And they're only as good as the people who take them.
That's correct. Absolutely. And
you know,
Eric,
yeah.
being in politics as long as we have been, I mean, you can write a poll any which way, 50 ways sideways and get any result you want. So, polls are suspect. They've been up and down. The only poll that matters is almost 2.2 million people who have signed our petition. And that's the only thing, that's the real number that counts.
Well, Oren, I think they took a lot of polls when we started this and said we would never get the recall accomplished. Isn't that correct?
You know, they did, but as time went on, I think even Las Vegas weighed in on the odds.
They did.
Can you imagine if a poll had been taken when you guys started out this incredible journey? It would have been completely wrong looking at it in hindsight, wouldn't have been. So much for polls.
Well, they spent a lot of
things. What if we all just put in $100 right now, Mike? And we go to do we do this online, or do we have to go to a bookie? How do we do this, or we just do an advanced bet on the recall? How do we do this?
Well, I think now the odds are a little bit.
Order is up. We do not condone gambling on this show, my friend.
I do want to go on record and say I did my own poll tonight of all four hosts, and it is literally 100% to nothing that we should recall Gavin.
I agree.
Okay. It's interesting that the polls keep going on about the same thing, but for everybody out there, I want to cover a couple things as we put politics on the platter, if you will, here tonight. I think for starters, understand, I get asked a lot about the timeline of the recall, and it is the opening of baseball season. And before I forget, I want to tell you need to call 1-800-222-5222, because tonight we want to ask you, what do you think some of the polls should be on the topics? Should some of the polls be on the topics that we're talking about? They seem to, in the press, to put out the same polls over and over again, not really asking the opinion of California. And it's interesting. The polls really say this: about 39% of the folks vote for the removal of Gavin Newsom. Then they spin a little bit or leave a question out, but 5 polls showed last week 39%, give or take 38% today, are for the removal of Gavin Newsom. However, about 14% are undecided. So, for everybody out there, the mission of RecallGavin2020.com, why we need to keep doing this radio show, is because we have to really convince that 14%, not just a lot of reasons, but some deeper reasons we're going to go into tonight about why we need to recall Gavin. And the press only reports on the prima facie. You like that legal term, Eric?
Yes, sir. Very
on
impressive.
The first glance on the surface, if you will, of some of these things that you hear about over and over again, but they're not really digging deep. And I want to challenge the press to do that. I also want to remind everybody out there, it's the beginning of the baseball season. And Orrin, you probably want to know why I'm bringing that up.
You know what? It often perplexes me what you bring up, but go for it.
Thank you. I was giving you a chance to play. Because it occurred to me today driving in that at the beginning of the baseball season is about 6 months, and it's a long season for those of you that follow baseball. It's hard to stay motivated. It goes through a lot of things. Favorites come and go throughout there. But the reality is, it's about the same as the recall season's going to be. At about the end of April, we're going to see we're one of the contenders. The summer months are going to go through, and other people will bubble. And about the time of the World Series, give or take, will probably be the election itself.
That's a very good point there, Mr. Netter.
Thank you. So for those
we're talking about polls. Polls are one thing, but then you have, in business, you have indicators, okay? You have these indicators. And one of the things that is indicating these polls are full of it is the level of attention the Democrats are giving this recall right now. If they weren't nervous, if they weren't scared, Nancy Pelosi wouldn't be running off all of the contenders.
That's a great point.
It's a great point.
And same thing.
They would not have launched such a horrible, vicious, hateful, and divisive counterattack.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have really come out, and I just want to kind of plug the website one more time, if you give me 2 seconds, Mike, because folks, the opposition have opened their war chest, and they have launched the initial salvo in their battle against this recall, and they've raised a significant amount of money. I mean, it is flooding into their cause. And for good reason. They're nervous, they're scared. But the fact is, we desperately need the funds to help combat this and to push it back, which we don't have right now. We did this whole recall signature gathering on a volunteer basis, on a shoestring budget. But now we're in the big leagues, and we need new uniforms, and we've got to push this thing forward and make it happen. It's a whole different ball game, to use Mike's metaphor. And you can donate to help keep this radio show alive. You can donate to help keep this recall movement moving forward at RecallGavin2020.com. Now, everybody out there who doesn't want to donate online, you want to write a check, you can go to RecallGavin2020.com for a donor form, and you can mail that check in to P.O. Box it's actually make the check out to California Patriot Coalition. Mail the check into P.O. Box 417030, Sacramento, California, 95841.
And it's
And I'll leave
important
with
it's important to remember, everybody, this is a long battle, like the baseball season. And as we put politics on the platter, as we come up on the break, I want to remind everybody some of the things we want you to call in tonight at 1-800-222-5222 is talk about the things the press really isn't covering, like the nursing home investigation that Congress opened today on 4 to 5 governors, Newsom being one of them, like these no-bid contracts, which have to do with COVID, and Newsom awarding to his cronies, and the EDD crisis. And how do we get the press to pay attention? And why isn't our Attorney General, past and future president, even talking about investigating these things to relieve the public's
they're
mind?
two hacks who are owned by the power structure, and they'll never go after them. You're talking about Becerra and Bonta. Oren, you might want to say that P.O. Box number again and that address in case folks didn't have a pen when you were saying that. Those kind of long numbers there.
California Patriot Coalition is who they need to address the checks out to, and then you mail it into California Patriot Coalition at P.O. Box 417030, Sacramento, California, 95841.
And if you can't remember that or don't have a pen in hand, you could find that address at recallgavin2020.com. Everybody, we're going to roll with Graham Ledger next, to a two-time Emmy Award-winning journalist. It's KABC 790, Friday nights at the French Laundry at
222.
1-800-5222.
Eaters. They are more contagious after all, they're mouth breathers. Just tell them it's important to follow all the law.
KABC Dependable Traffic right now. City of Industry, truck involved accident earlier, 60 freeway westbound near Fairway Drive. Said to be clearing stages, but 2 right lanes have been shut down for a time. So traffic is still impacted. Extra slow conditions from the 55 freeway. Also, 405 freeway southbound at La Tijera Boulevard, top of the off-ramp, a reported stall, adding to slow traffic coming away from the 10. And 605 freeway southbound at Telegraph Road, earlier accident. Looks like that's still blocking the number 1 lane left side of the freeway, 605 south near Telegraph, again, the location. And that's Dependable Traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
New puppy? Shop online at Chewy. Get food, beds, prescriptions, and more. We've got everything you need to welcome your new friend home. Plus, you get fast free shipping on orders over $49. Visit Chewy.com today.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision.
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Dan Bongino.
A characteristic of being a liberal is ignoring common sense. It's collective stupidity.
Weekday afternoons at 5, right after Ben Shapiro as part of the Power Drive Home on AM 790 KABC. You've only had an appetizer. This is your Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Oren Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant about California politics, how to solve things, and, of course, the recall of our least favorite governor, Gavin Newsom. We have a man on the line now, our first guest, who's won, well, more Emmy Awards than all of us on the show put together, but we've won none. Graham Ledger, 2-time Emmy Award. I could spend the whole 50 minutes reciting everything about you, Graham, but I choose not to. How you doing tonight?
As somebody, one of the radio people in San Diego used to call me pretty boy, prima donna,
television stud. So you can just call
that
me
must have been a long time ago.
That was a long time ago,
Whoa.
Graham.
I may not have been born then. Because I've seen you now, Graham. So,
I was just reading the LA Times article. I'm sure you folks saw this latest one. It's funny how the media is now obviously closing ranks around Newsom, and now the LA Times is giving strategy, or as George W. Bush would say, strategery, to Gavin Newsom and the Democrat Party. And the latest is, I don't know if you folks are talking about this tonight, but I am, that they want Villaraigosa to run, the former mayor of LA, or somebody big like that, but they want to run as an alternative to Newsom as a ticket. So Newsom runs to try and retain his job, but Villaraigosa runs as his VP, if you will.
I don't get that, Graham.
As an
I don't get
alternative,
that.
just in case. It's insanity.
Well, I don't get it. Isn't the general prevailing wisdom that if a Villaraigosa jumped in, that would detract from support for Newsom and help a Republican?
Think about it. I don't know what in 2003, if that's the model that Bustamante hurt Gray Davis. I don't think so, because it's that binary choice, right? So the theory is these two can campaign together as a safety valve, that Newsom could survive the recall election. And just in case if he doesn't, then, put your vote in favor of this other guy. And you know what? I bet you that's going to happen.
Well, Randy, isn't that what they tried with Bustamante back in the day, but it didn't work out so well for him?
Well, it didn't, because they had a guy named Arnold Schwarzenegger who decided to come in literally, at the 11th hour on a night where he announced his candidacy on the Tonight Show, and it literally sent a political shockwave not only here up and down the San Onofre fault line in California, but it created a political earthquake around the country. And I don't know if there's another Arnold Schwarzenegger out there, but I know that there's a lot of people who want to be governor, and I know that this governor is in deep trouble.
Graham, I'm kind of curious about something. These polls that come out, I know the press does polls once in a while too, and again, you've worked in the inner workings of the press. And why do we keep doing the same poll over and over again? It's like they're repeating it, hoping for Eric, this might be a question for you. In politics, do attorneys, how do we get the press to put pressure on the legislature to talk about other things that people really should know about? Why don't they take their opinion on life in California, or if elected officials, these scandals that we're talking about? Graham, how does that work?
You're asking kind of a convoluted question. How does the mainstream media work?
Well, no, I'm asking how do you get to the mainstream media to say, hey, this is what the people care about?
I have an answer for that, but it may not be fit for print.
Or air.
The mainstream media is going to do what it's been doing now for several decades, ever since Uncle Walty was delivering the news, and people trusted Uncle Walty, but he was...
you were on the air with him, weren't you, Graham?
Yeah, I think so. And then, of course, Dan Rather, made it on steroids. But the bottom line is, most of my former colleagues in the mainstream media are raging, raving, in some cases lunatic liberals who are going to do everything they can to advance their agenda. And I told this story before, and I'll tell it again real quick, and that is in 2003, when the recall was just in its infancy, but was starting to gain momentum. I approached the news director. I was anchoring the news at the CBS affiliate in San Diego, and I was telling the news director, hey, this is a story. We need to be doing this story. There's a recall effort on the governor. No, Graham, you're just a lunatic, right-wing nutcase. Shut up and go read the news. Go read the teleprompter. And then I would go back in a couple of weeks because it was gaining more momentum. No, shut up and just write, read what we're writing for you. And then finally it got to the point, Mike, I think I told you this when we first met in person, mainstream media couldn't ignore it anymore. And so they had to cover it, but then they had to cover it their way. And so you're kind of in that position right now where the mainstream media is covering it, but look at the LA Times actually giving Newsom advice on how to survive the recall and then doing the polling. Yes, the polling is crucial. But many times these entities like the LA Times goes out and they do a poll in order to create a story that they've already written in their minds, and that is Gavin Newsom is going to survive the recall. And so they go out and they poll in a certain way. They get a pollster to do a certain kind of poll and ask a certain kind of questions at a certain time of day to a certain kind of people, and they get the result they want, and then they write the story. So that's what you're up against. But the interesting thing here is, in this recall election, it's not going to be like 2003 because 22 million Californians are going to be mailed a ballot. Well, I would imagine X amount of those are not Californians and not even legal residents and legal citizens of the United States. That's the unfortunate part. So this recall election is going to be unlike the 2003 edition, and it's going to be anybody's guess on how the ballot harvesting is going to go on and all the other political malfeasance that took place in 2020 and prior elections.
Well, Graham, let me change. What I'm driving at is how do we drive the change of the tone of the media? Hear me out here.
All right.
This mass of people, which makes this election different, running for governor. And Orrin, you and I talked a little bit about this today on the phone. This group of people running are all talking about running against each other, etc. What I would like to see, and I think our 2.1 million volunteers who signed this would like to see, is how do we change the tone of the conversation to talk about the deeper issues. The polls that are out there seem to be the same old thing over and over again. Again, maybe a general poll, Eric, I'm going to toss this to you a little bit. I mean, do you think a poll would affect somebody, the Attorney General, if California stood up and said, can we open an investigation into EDD?
Well, listen, if we're waiting for something like what I call the socialist rag, the Los Angeles Times, to step up and do anything to portray the truth to the people of California, really, I doubt that's ever going to happen. If any of these mainstream media outlets in this state or in this country would just portray the truth to the American people, this Newsom would be run out of here on a rail as fast as you could just snap your fingers. The problem is, and everybody or most of folks listening, I'm sure know this. I know you know this. It's just one way skewed, whatever it is, just like, Graham was alluding to, where everything is twisted and turned and so that the voters hear what they need to hear, and they, and unfortunately they vote the way the mainstream media wants them to vote. And we got to do something about it. We got to get the information out there. We got to get the word out there a different way. You guys, Orrin, Mike, Randy, your incredible thousands of volunteers. You guys got the word out there in this and got this incredible support, this movement like we've never seen in American history, while the mainstream media were either completely slumbering, or when they woke up, they started coming up with their, BS white supremacist racist garbage, which only further fueled getting more signatures because people were so pissed off. And so I don't know if you can ever, Mike, count on getting even nearly a fair story from these people in the mainstream media. It stinks, but it is what it is. I think you try and get a job as a conservative in the news department of the LA Times. Good luck ever keeping a job like that.
Orrin, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Are you running for governor?
No, I'm not.
Then why are they spending the press? I guess this is my question as I'm trying to model this here. The press seems to spend all its time in the polls, and talking about Orrin, Netter, Randy, and Bailey the dog, of course, Orrin, the most famous dog in the recall business. But Don't you think, Orrin, that maybe they should be, again, our theme tonight's a little bit polling. Wouldn't we like to see a poll maybe about some actual California issues?
Boy, wouldn't that be nice?
I want to weigh in on that if I could. And I've always said that when you run out of answers regarding the problems behind the reason for this recall, you attack the people leading the recall. So, I can't do an interview without the reporter asking me about how the French Laundry affected the recall. Well, we had momentum, we had drive, we had the energy going well before that, and we can make a case to recall this governor without mentioning COVID, injections, masks, or the French Laundry incident. I don't, it's perplexing. You say that until you're blue in the face with these reporters, and they just shine on by, and next thing you know, you read their report, and the one thing they cite in the report that is driven this thing forward is the incident. Maybe they know differently, but the incident at the French Laundry. I can't read a report that doesn't mention that. But what we do need to mention is, his letting out tens of thousands of the California Department of Forestry or Department of the CDC fire crews while California was still on fire. We are entering a new fire season. I hope you all have your generators at home because, your energy, your power is going to get shut off yet again because we haven't taken any steps to fix that problem that this governor signed into law that shuts your power off whenever the wind blows.
Orrin, you know what? Listen, before we get to roll to the break, I want to, Graham, I'd like to see you do some hard-hitting pieces on polls and tell people where they can listen to you and catch your podcast, because I love your directness before we let you go.
All right, when I start hearing the music, I'll start shutting up. But I will tell you I'm being canceled. And the answer to your question, Mike, is that we are the media now. We have to do the job of the journalists because they will not do it. And so that's what I'm trying to do. You go to GrahamLedger.com and you can sign up for my podcast. The problem is YouTube keeps canceling Graham Ledger. I've had 3 podcasts removed in the past week because I broke the golden rule of speaking the truth about the COVID-19 vaccines and about election integrity, in particular in California. But we have to stick together, Mike. So, again, it's GrahamLedger.com. You can give me your email. I'm not going to do anything with it except send you my information. And we need to bypass the mainstream media, bypass big tech, and we have to find alternative measures to communicate. We are the media now. It's up to us to spread the truth.
Graham, thank you very much. That's a great lead into our next segment. Thank you for being on our show. I look forward to chatting with you again on your podcast, wherever it ends up.
And God bless you, Graham. Good talking with you, my friend. We'll talk again soon.
790 KABC. We want you to call in, Tim. We'll get to you in 1 second. We know you're on hold in the next segment. It's 1-800-222-5222. We want to hear you talk about tonight, just like Tim's calling in, about the things that we need to do polls on, because as Graham said, we need to change the narrative here. We need to take control and be the media ourselves and not dependent on big tech. 790 KABC, all over California and even all over the United States, streaming live Friday nights at the French Laundry.
I have a wedding. This is getting upsetting. Photo came in and they got me red-handed, eating at the plate.
AM 790
KABC. KABC News at 7:30 on this Good Friday. I'm Sharon Reardon. A woman has been arrested earlier this evening after a nearly 3-hour standoff with police, which included her and officers shooting at each other and her swimming in MacArthur Parks Lake. It's not immediately clear what led to the shooting. The woman was taken into custody. A gun was found at the scene. The park will remain closed as the LAPD conducts an investigation. The airline industry is praising the new CDC guidelines that say people who are fully vaccinated can travel safely. Brian Shook reports.
The Association of Flight Attendants president Sarah Nelson says the 50,000 members of her union are thrilled with the announcement. A spokesman for United Airlines called it a step in the right direction to safely resume global travel. Delta and other carriers also applauded the change. The U.S. airline industry lost an estimated $35 billion last year because of the pandemic.
The markets were closed for Good Friday.
Whether it's offering curbside or next-day delivery for online orders on over 160,000 parts or getting involved in their local communities, when it comes to serving you, Napa's Motor never quits. That's Napa Know-How.
News sponsored by Napa Auto Parts. KABC SoCal weather. Mostly clear this evening, then partly cloudy in the overnight hours. Lows in the mid-40s to mid-50s. Partly cloudy in the morning, then sunny, with highs in the mid-60s at the beaches, mid to upper 70s for the inland and valley areas. Currently, it's 69 degrees in Yorba Linda, 70 in Monrovia, and it's 57 degrees in Santa Monica. The 25K weekday payday is back on 790 KABC. Listen every hour weekdays between 8 a.m. and 5:30 for your shot at $100 and possibly $25,000. Traffic coming up next, then stay with us for more Friday Night at the French Laundry.
I'm flinging myself into spring cleaning.
I'm going to fling into spring at Total Wine and clean up on Chardonnays and fruit-flavored vodkas at low prices.
Wondrous selection, helpful guides, always low prices. Total Wine and more.
KABC dependable traffic right now. I should say, if you're getting out of town in front of the holiday weekend, it is a slow go on I-15 northbound from the 210 freeway interchange all the way through the Cajon Pass. Lots of people heading northbound on the 15 toward the Victor Valley and points north, so keep that in mind. Northbound side of the 5 freeway from the northern San Fernando Valley into the Valencia area, also some extra crowding. On the 605 freeway, southbound right around Telegraph Road, earlier accident clearing, but a crash 60 westbound at Fairway Drive, still taking up the 2 right lanes. They're telling us big rig involved accident earlier, traffic extra slow from the 57. And that's dependable traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like Taylor Swift choosing what to wear.
It's looking kind of chilly out today. I think I'll go with a cardigan.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Stephanie from Safeway. Hop on over for all your Easter essentials. You'll find everything you need at Safeway. Fresh produce like local green asparagus grown out of Lodi, California for 99 cents a pound. Traditional favorites like Signature Select Classic Ham. Shanker Butt Half only 87 cents per pound while supplies last. And treats like Dreyer's Ice Cream. 1.5 quart just $2.79. Plus everything else for your Easter baskets. Safeway is your one-stop hop for Easter. This is Stephanie from Safeway, and we'll see you soon.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Oh, that's a cheer we used to do in softball.
What? It's, actually Geico's.
Whenever someone hit a triple, we would wave our bats and yell, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. But we never got to use it because we would only hit home runs. Annoying.
The phrase is from Geico because they help save people money.
Geico? Yeah, they were our team sponsor.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
We all know that the only way to top the perfect cup of Dunkin' Cold Brew is with velvety new sweet cold foam from Dunkin'. But how do you top that? With an exclusive offer for DD Perks members. Get a medium chocolate stout cold brew with sweet cold foam, cold brew with sweet cold foam, or cold brew for $3. It's the perfect deal to top off the perfect top to the perfect cup of Dunkin' Cold Brew. Doesn't that sound great? Not a DD Perks member? Join today via the Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Project Shine makes it easy for good people to connect with great causes. Visit Volunteer Match and brighten someone's day today.
Go to KABC.com now to connect with Project Shine. It's Friday night at the French Laundry. On the menu tonight, a better California with executive chef Orrin Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and the wise cashier Randy Economy.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant of California politics for the main entree that Orrin Heatley cooked up originally, the recall of Governor Gavin Newsom. Hey, I want to start this segment here by talking to Tim from Culver City, because, Tim, you've been on hold for a little bit here, and you actually have a great idea about polls. How you doing, Tim?
Hey, guys. So the questions that we need to be asking in terms of these polls, I think, have to do with more of the effects of Gavin Newsom's leadership rather than, should he still be governor or should he not? So the first question that has to be asked is your life better now than it was before Gavin's leadership? Now, a lot of people are going to say that due to COVID, but of course, as you guys mentioned earlier, there are numerous other things that he's done to make life harder for everyday, hardworking California citizens. But even if we do go to the COVID thing, the next question should be, how do you think California is doing compared to other states as it relates to COVID, right? Say versus Florida versus Texas, who, they have the same kind of death and hospitalization rates that California does, but with a lot less restriction. So the next question that should maybe be asked is California on a good trajectory under Gavin? And, take it from somebody like me who moved here 9 years ago from Ohio, is California still the same quote-unquote destination that it had been for generations prior to the last few years? If we ask those kind of questions, I think that'd be a lot more reflective of people's actual feelings than what we're seeing from people like the LA Times.
That's a really good point.
Yep.
I think we should poll the Californers, the people who fled California, and the reasons why they left, and has this governor done anything to change that to make them want to come back?
And you know what else, Tim, what's interesting, and Randy, I want to toss this one to you, but how do you think a poll would be, to Tim's point, asking about, what about how do people really feel, how that has affected their lives, that they haven't been able to get unemployment, but it's been clogged up by fraud? What do you think, Randy?
Well, I'm not a big believer in polls, and I know that kind of, is kind of a, I just been in this game too long, and, polls are only as good as the way you write them. But I get it. I understand the fascination of stories having to do with polls. Listen, if you think about what took place 6 months ago, nobody cared about this recall. Nobody even gave it a shot in the dark to be able to even to get to this point. So I think we now have seen 11 different types of polling services actually go out in the field now to conduct polls on behalf of this campaign. And to me, that's staggering. And that is a testament not only to what the people have been able to do to get this thing on the ballot, but it's the media who is now engaged 24/7 in regards to this situation. And to me, that's a seismic shift on where we have been able to come. So polls are only good as the way you write them, as we all know. And you and I can write a poll right now, and I can tell you I could get 42%. For anybody on the second question on who should be governor. It's just the way the polls are written, and that's sad. Mm-hmm. But it's just the reality of politics.
I think what I'm trying to do here, or we're trying to do, Randy, is get the press who's stubborn on their spot, if you will, to Tim, to your point, to start talking about the things that really affect California's lives. Isn't that kind of your point, Tim?
Exactly. When I first moved here 9 years ago, California was a destination. It was a great place. It was almost like a utopia. I mean,
the dream.
Some flaws,
California
better
dream.
than a lot of places. And now people are leaving here in droves.
Yep.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I know I was on the radio with Cleveland this week. Eric, I think you were on the phone with Wisconsin today. And it's cold, baby. And one thing we do have is the weather. And this should be a dream state to live in. It shouldn't be politically, socially, and economically miserable. That's not just right. And we shouldn't have one party rule. Tim, anything you want to add before we move on here?
Keep fighting the power, guys. I signed this. I signed the petition pretty much right when it first started. Of course, this being the 6th effort, but you guys are doing the Lord's work.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.
Amen to that.
If I could jump in really quick, I just want to say that during the break, we received 3 substantial donations, folks. Thank you very much, Stella, Ryan, Fran. God bless you guys for chipping in and helping us continue this fight. You can, and for those of you who are on the fence out there, we'd like to mention you on the air. Everybody that makes a donation tonight gets a personal note from me right away. I look at it and send you a note right back. So, and we will mention your name, not first, not last, but just first name. If you make a donation tonight, we really need your help. We're trying to drive this train forward, and it takes a lot of fuel to get it there, and every fight needs funding. We need your help, and that's what I got to say right now. Mike, back to you.
Thanks a lot. And, for everybody out there, again, the goal we're always trying to do is keep the narrative focused. Again, Orrin's not running for governor. Randy's not running for governor. This just in, I'm not running for governor either. And like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is a long season like Major League Baseball. We absolutely need to keep not the press focused and the people focused on the fascination, because whether you like it or not, the recall election is going to take place. Wouldn't you agree with that, Eric?
It's happening.
Okay.
It's coming like a freight train, and it's going to be something else to watch, something to behold.
It is. It's coming like a freight train, and I think what we need to do is keep the public focused on why. And we're going to roll to our next guest here right at break. No, we're not going to roll to our next guest. We're going to roll up on a break here. Remember, we want you to call 1-800-222-5222. Jeff Rowland, the fabulous filmmaker, is up next. It's KABC, all over California, nationwide streaming. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry.
Eating at the place next door. Were there a lot of people there? Picture this, it was not that vacant. Like 100 peeps or more.
KABC, dependable traffic right now. 210 freeway eastbound at Osborne Street, San Fernando Valley, just getting rid of an accident. Off-ramp is affected. 210 east at Osborne Street. Again, the location. On the 101 freeway eastbound at the 405 freeway interchange in Van Nuys, now getting rid of a stall right side. Also a breakdown reported 405 freeway northbound before Wilshire Boulevard. Looks like right side of the freeway going to be affected there. And San Fernando Valley 405 freeway northbound at Rinaldi Street, earlier crash. Off-ramp is shut down as CHP tends to that 405 north at Rinaldi Street. And that's dependable traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
Eckrich has a message for everyone listening to the same song over and over and over again. Keep doing it. You know what you like, so why listen to anything else? Eckrich, you do you.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision.
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC.
Hi, this is Stephanie from Safeway. Hop on over for all your Easter essentials. You'll find everything you need at Safeway. Fresh produce like local green asparagus grown out of Lodi, California for 99 cents a pound. Traditional favorites like Signature Select Classic Ham. Shanker Butt Half only 87 cents per pound while supplies last. And treats like Dreyer's Ice Cream. 1.5 quart just $2.79. Plus everything else for your Easter baskets. Safeway is your one-stop hop for Easter. This is Stephanie from Safeway, and we'll see you soon.
The 25K weekday payday on AM 790 KABC is back. Listen for the national keyword between 8 and 6 for your shot at $100 and possibly much more. 25,000 more. Full rules at KABC.com. You've only had an appetizer. This is your Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Orrin Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, this show is sponsored by and needs to continue by putting your tips on our website, recallgavin2020.com. Recallgavin2020.com is the reason we're able to do a lot of things. And I want to bring on right now a gentleman who saw, I'm going to call it the story of the recall itself, a story which needs to be told, continues to need to be told. Filmmaker Jeff Rowland. Jeff, how you doing tonight?
Excellent. How are you guys?
I think we're all good. Gavin's still our governor, Jeff, but, we're working on it.
Things could be better then, I guess.
Jeff, you're a filmmaker, and you came to us a couple months ago, and I want to add here that, like recallgavin2020.com, Jeff is the filmmaker putting this together on a shoestring, basically, looking for funding, but he's run around a lot of on his own dime, filming this documentary. Jeff, what made you see the story here?
Well, there are a lot of stories, actually, that need to be told, and not just from a historical standpoint, but for the good of this state. Obviously, we have the story of this, I guess you would call it groundbreaking, this historic recall effort, never been done before in this fashion nor in these numbers, and that story needs to be told. On the other hand, we also have the story of Gavin Newsom and what he's done to this state, and in there lies many different stories. So when you talk about the importance of storytelling, this piece that I'm working on right now is so important in terms of how people will be able to perceive this recall effort, and also the leadership of Gavin Newsom.
Jeff, you spent a lot of time with us, and Randy, when Jeff first contacted you, you being the political pirate, Ivy Gargar, what did you think when Jeff first called you?
I wasn't shocked. Because I knew that we were onto something pretty darn special, and I knew that being a journalist myself and a documentarian, I knew that this is a story, and the story's not about us. It's about the people of California who have done this amazing thing that's never been done before. And then when you throw in the cast of characters, meaning Mike Netter, Lauren Heatley, Randy Economy, and everybody else involved in this campaign, from the top to bottom and bottom and up, it's a made-for-television, multi-series thing that you would just sit back and relax and just be in awe. And so I think we've gotten a little. Sometimes we've ripped off the cover of the Band-Aid, so to speak, and we've let Jeff in on the good and the bad and the ugly. And some of the ugly's really freaking funny, if you want to be honest with you. It's pretty hilarious.
Well, thanks for referring to me as the ugly, Randy, but I know I don't have a good side.
No, I'm not saying that. No, listen, there's a 2-2, there's 1 out of 3. No, good and bad and the ugly, you know that.
Oren, what is the most important, Oren and Jeff, Oren, what's the most important part that you would really like to see told in this story? And Jeff, maybe you could describe how this is going to come out, what it's going to look like as a finished product. But Oren, you go first. Tell them what's the most important point you really want the public to learn.
Well, I think that the magnitude and diversity of the people who came together to get this done, the volunteers and the effort that they put in, it's going to be hard to go back and capture those moments where we had volunteers, out gathering signatures where, their communities were literally on fire and choking smoke all around them and the searing heat out under a tent on the side of the road or in a parking lot. This is what Gavin Newsom and his crew are failing to recognize. They continually point out that, it's only 2.2 million or 2.1 million people signed it in a state of 44 million. Yeah, they're only seeing the tip of the iceberg out there, and the energy level is palpable. And I think that if Jeff can adequately capture that movement, that energy level, and the drive and the people behind this, the millions of people that came out to sign it, running up to the tables to put their signature on, literally jumping out of the car. We had one lady jump out of her car, and, car is still rolling, and she had to jump back in and put it in park to go sign it. Little stuff like that. I mean, it's all captured. They're up and down on Facebook. We have a lot of groups out there, and I think there's a lot of moments that have been caught that need to be shown or showcased. But Jeff is going to do a wonderful job. Jeff, you have other films to your credit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Late last year, we released a film called Liberty Lockdown, which is currently available on Vimeo, which focused on the overreach of the government, the various state governments throughout the nation. And so on the coattails of that, we're going through and doing this documentary, which of the same theme, we're talking about the effects of government when they make poor decisions or decisions that are not in the best interest of its people, and how individuals suffer from those decisions, not only immediately, but probably for generations to come.
Jeff, how would you compare Liberty Lockdown, the tone of it, which, by the way, was an excellent piece. I watched it, just to go on record, to what you're doing now? I mean, this is kind of, do you think, what you did about Liberty Lockdown, this kind of shows some of how the people reacted to it? Tell us about some of the most fascinating things that you've seen while filming the recall over the last 3-4 months.
I think the tone of it is that it's a very empowering story. All over the nation, we've seen people taking the fate of their state, their home, their own individual lives, fill in the blank. We've seen a lot of these stories taking place where people have just had enough. They've taken it to the next level. They realize they need to become activists. They need to become not just on the sidelines and watching, but they need to get in the game. And so that's what you find here. And as I've been traveling the state up and down, meeting all these people, that's one of the common themes that I find, is that these are people that perhaps they weren't really in the game, but this was enough for them to get out there and do something and not just sit by and watch their state crumble.
Do you know who I would like to have interviewed for our this documentary, Jeff?
Yeah.
I would love to have Arnold Schwarzenegger interviewed for our documentary, and I know he would probably do it because he's been all over the press this week, including a major story that hit on Politico a couple of days ago that basically said Arnold Schwarzenegger has a warning for Gavin Newsom. So I would love to be able to get the former governor's perspective on this recall, and as compared to what he went through a generation ago. And I think that's the great thing about what it is that you're doing on behalf of capturing the inner workings and kind of the sausage making in the sausage factory, so to speak. And sometimes it's a little ugly, but the final product always turns out to be pretty delicious, if you know what I mean. So there's so many different things that you've been able to cover thus far. And I can hardly wait to see how this thing's going to end. I really do. And I hate to say that, but it's going to end. It maybe in 3 years from now, but sooner or later, this thing is going to, come to that dramatic conclusion. And this is a historical thing, and I just cannot thank you enough. And we need to get as much people to open up their wallets, to help donate, to help pay the bills, to get this thing done.
And just jumping into something that both Orrin and Jeff were talking about, and Randy and Mike, just to see this happening, most Americans have for so long been made to believe that we're powerless, that these people running things, they lord over us. They could care less about us. They spend our money. It's impossible to change them when they have, especially the media behind them, like these characters in this state do. And one of the most incredible things about this has been purely a movement of the people. It's something Orrin was referring to, it's something what Jeff was referring to, and we are realizing more and more that this is our government, and we can change this government no matter how powerful, how they walk around and act like they are our kings and we are just their serfs and their servants, we can take back this government. And that is, to me, one of the sort of amazing things about what is going on here.
And we're going to have some very special guests after the break, talking about how these issues affect all California, those even from what you would consider to be the left. But excuse me, Randy, before we run out of time, I want to give people to understand something here. RecallGavin2020.com has helped pay some of Jeff's expenses, but the reality is, Jeff, we're trying to fund this finished product so everybody could see it, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, I definitely, we need help from everyone out there. And the importance of this, obviously the stories to be told, but the actual importance of this film lies in that we need to inform those who view it of the truth. The truth is that this recall effort is not a Republican recall, as Gavin Newsom has put it. This is a diverse movement by peoples from all walks of life who have sacrificed time, and they are in it for the long haul. And that story needs to be told. That information needs to be told to the general public.
Before we go to break, I want to make clarification. You have a GoFundMe
Exactly.
page.
Jeff, bring that up and tell us real quick before the music goes.
Yep. Got it. Go to recallgavinmovie.com. recallgavinmovie.com. You'll find a trailer, information on the film project, and please help make this documentary a possibility, and that we can get it.
Our only agenda is giving you get it right.
KABC News at 8 o'clock. I'm Sharon Reardon on this Good Friday. Former President Trump is calling for a boycott of companies that interfere with efforts to change voting laws. Trump slammed Major League Baseball for moving its All-Star game from Atlanta over Georgia's new voting law. He claims professional baseball is already losing fans. He also called out Coke and Delta Airlines for speaking out against the law that requires voter ID, among other things, and makes it harder to commit voter fraud. California has new guidelines allowing for a return of indoor events.
Concerts, sporting events, theater performances, and conferences can restart April 15th. There will be varying restrictions on capacity based on each county's placement in the economic recovery tier system. It'll also be based on the number of attendees who have been tested and or vaccinated. In LA's current orange tier, outdoor gatherings can be 100 people or up to 300 with vaccinations and testing. Indoor activities are cleared for 150 people with vaccinations and testing. Counties can enact stricter guidelines. Kevin Tripp, KABC News.
Senate leaders are offering their condolences for Officer William Evans, a Capitol police officer killed in an attack outside the Capitol today. A second officer is in the hospital, but he'll recover. They also praised both for defending the Capitol. Suspect Noah Green, an African-American who was killed by police, was a Nation of Islam follower and described himself as a follower of Farrakhan on his Facebook page before it was taken down. Green was 25. Law enforcement authorities say they've arrested 8 defendants named in a federal indictment alleging their involvement in a drug trafficking ring in LA and Riverside counties.
Authorities say the defendants distributed large quantities of methamphetamine, heroin, fentanyl, and other narcotics across the U.S. Those 8 and 9 others still being sought are charged in the 20-count indictment. The U.S. Attorney's Office says an 18-month probe led to multiple seizures of narcotics, firearms, and $1.5 million in drug proceeds. The indictment alleges the ring was headed by 36-year-old Rigoberto Sanchez Martinez of Paris. Jim Roop, KABC News.
The markets were closed in honor of Good Friday. KABC SoCal weather, mostly clear tonight, then partly cloudy in the overnight with lows in the mid-40s to 50s. Partly cloudy in the morning, becoming sunny with highs in the mid-60s at the beaches, mid to upper 70s for the inland and valley areas. Currently at 65 degrees in Placentia, 66 in Pasadena, and at 67 degrees in Pacoima. Listen for your shot at $25,000, the national keyword in the 25K weekday payday contest, weekdays between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. on 790 KABC. Now for a check on your traffic, and then stay with us for more Friday Night at the French Laundry.
always goes the extra mile, stretches every dollar, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. Get free tips to help boost your retirement savings now at aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
KABC dependable traffic right now. 210 freeway eastbound at Osborne Street, San Fernando Valley. Crash off-ramp is affected there. Pinch is slow going on the eastbound 210 as you approach that exit. Also, getting word of a breakdown now in Agoura, 101 freeway eastbound at Liberty Canyon Road. Right side of the freeway affected. CHP responding. Breakdown earlier, 405 northbound at Wilshire Boulevard, right side of the freeway. Some Friday heavy traffic southbound 101 from Hollywood at about Santa Monica Boulevard all the way to the 4-level interchange at this hour. Expect delays if you're heading that way. And that's dependable traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Oh, that's a cheer we used to do in softball.
What? It's actually Geico.
Whenever someone hit a triple, we would wave our bats and yell, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. But we never got to use it because we would only hit home runs. Annoying.
The phrase is from Geico because they help save people money.
Geico? Yeah, they were our team sponsor.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
For a smorgasbord of information from RecallGavin2020.com in a tasty, non-caloric, gluten-free bite. It's Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Orrin Heatley, Maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
All the leaves are brown.
Everybody to our second hour of Friday Nights at the French Laundry with our chef Orrin Heatley, me Mike Netter, the maitre d', cashier Randy Economy, and Eric Early helping out in the restaurant tonight. Our subject matter that we're covering are deeper reasons to recall Gavin, how we're uniting the state. The recall is going to be on the ballot. Don't forget, it's like a Major League Baseball season. Before we flip to a couple callers we have on hold, very special from a so-called Louisville area, I want to bring Jeff back really quick. We talked about the film he's making. Jeff, you came up against the hard break too fast. Tell us again where they can go. First off, you can go to recallgavin2020.com and find how to fund Jeff. Jeff is separate from the recall. The recall, we're doing our own funding and our own movement. And Jeff, again, let's get it out, brother. Where can they go to contribute to the making of your movie?
All right, they need to go to recallgavinmovie.com. Recallgavinmovie.com.
Got it?
So recall Gavin, to the GoFundMe.
Right? Recallgavinmovie.com to contribute to Jeff's GoFundMe, separate from our political movement, to help fund the making of this independent documentary. And, of course, if you want to send us a few bucks, thank you, Orrin. That was your ding, I assume.
That means the Chateaubriand is ready, I believe.
That's good. I was hoping Gavin was Gavin's goose.
I have an order up, and I want to give a shout-out. Shout out to Paula and Kimberly. Thank you very much for your kind donations.
Thank you, Orrin.
Wow.
Very, very cool. Now, Jeff, thank you very much. Cool. Remember, recallgavinmovie.com. Do I have that correct, Jeff?
That's correct.
Absolutely. To the movie. Remember, and contribute to us because you need to keep all of us rambling on the air. Because what else would you do with your Friday night at recallgavin2020.com? Thank you, Jeff, very, very much. I want to go to an extra special guest right now who I heard speak a few weeks ago in San Francisco, followed by another San Francisco caller. Bianca, how are you doing tonight?
Hi, Los Angeles. I'm doing great, and you guys are rocking it as usual.
Tell us, you've got kind of a Hollywood background, correct?
Yeah, and then some. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you're not exactly what we would call a dyed-in-the-wool conservative. Is that a fair enough answer?
Oh, no. Quite the 180, my friend. I'm a Bernie-crat.
Ooh. Static on the line. No, but you're behind the recall. Tell us more. I mean, I've heard you speak, and I know that I want to listen to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes. Well, just like the fellows have been saying, this is a bipartisan thing. This is not the kind of propaganda Kool-Aid that Gavin Newsom wants you to swallow, being some sort of neo-Nazi nonsense. And I wanted to touch on something that Graham brought up earlier, if I may. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still. I'm sorry. Yes, you may.
I saw a message on that. Graham was partially right about the media, but it's a bit more insidious than that. They're more interested in suborning the liberal agenda to preserve the status quo. Really, they want us fighting each other. I brought this up in my speech in San Francisco, saying that this was a historic day. And when you think about it, okay, it was just like a couple weeks ago, there was like no serious coverage of the Mars landing. You know, I cried when I watched that live feed of the plumes of dust clearing so our technology could set down on the face of another planet. Where was all this, wonderful media coverage? It wasn't there. They delayed the announcement of the vaccine until a day after the election, just to spite Trump. And on top of that, they've been trying to propagate this kind of myth that black people are afraid of the vaccine in order to initiate some kind of warped mass sterilization. I spent weeks trying to talk, people of color, into getting the vaccine, and it was just actually some sort of nonsense. And, and really they don't care about immigration despite the way they report it, because they're not really talking about the working poor of this nation in California, the homeless people that are just not being served. Where is all this righteousness and concern for those individuals who are already here? This is more about incendiary sensationalism. And, more recently, I was talking to some Asian reporter friends of mine here in the city, and it's pretty much unanimous. And but they're propagating that here on their news reports, and I'm asking them why, and I didn't get a very good answer. And one of my things is, I'm emphatically against hate crime legislation. It doesn't work. At best, it's a stopgap that just makes everyone feels good, and really, it just makes the problem worse. And what I'm concerned about is that this establishment leveraging the unfortunate incidents that are being perpetrated upon Asian people in Northern California to get stronger hate crime legislation, which is the cornerstone of fascism, really. And I've been trying to work with a lot of Asian groups here to make them understand what they really need to do. But it's hard working against the media that clearly has an agenda that is not in line with liberal politics.
Can I chime in real quick? And Bianca, I know this week, Senator Scott Wiener, who's kind of a fixture and an icon in a strange, bizarre kind of way in San Francisco politics. He came out and he held back-to-back press conferences, I think 3 days in a row. And every press conference, he denounced the recall campaign as being racist and fascist and anti-LGBT and anti-Asian, and it made my skin crawl.
He's a sick individual.
If I did one interview this week or 100 interviews this week, along with Mike and Orrin, that question came up over and over again, and it really irked me that first of all, this guy even gets any press. Because, because he decides to hold a press conference, it's not newsworthy.
Randy, he is the exact exhibit A of what is made up of the newsrooms of the quote-unquote press. And that's why he gets
Hillary
press.
Clinton and Nancy Pelosi had some sort of a weird love child, it would be Scott Wiener.
Exactly.
Bianca, by the way, where do you live?
Hold on, Bianca, if you and I had a love child.
Far off the reservation, so to speak.
Yeah.
Bianca,
where do you live at?
Yes.
Where do you live at?
I'm in the Alamo Square area of San Francisco. It's what's known as the Painted Ladies from that television show with Danny.
Yeah, and I think that's important to note. I get, speaking as a prime proponent, along with Orrin, of the recall or whatever we call ourselves. We've traveled up and down the state with Randy. Eric's been to a lot of our events, and I just get really tired of hearing it's an extreme right movement. It literally is about the people of California. And Bianca, your speech was, and I think you must admit that the San Francisco event we had, which is kind of the height of diversity in the state, if you will, was a pretty diverse event. I mean, I looked around there and I'm going, wow.
Yeah, we had
I just want to chime in there. Again, like I said earlier in the show, this is Orrin talking, folks.
We knew that.
This recall has been driven by everybody from all walks of life, from across the aisle, from the entire political spectrum have come together. All cultures, all races, all ethnicities have come together to work on this. And this is something that I think is making the opposition more fearful than anything else, because they see the unity. And the one torpedo that they have to try and put a wedge in this movement is to try and drive this narrative that we are a bunch of racists, we are a bunch of homophobes or xenophobes or whatever name you want to throw behind a phobia. And it can't be further from the truth. And they know it. We know it. The people out there know it. It's just a big lie, and it's just pushing a false narrative, and it's something that they have gotten very good at over the last couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And Bianca, God bless you for, your participation and joining the show. I just want to say that, your district attorney up there has just launched more new and improved hate crime issues for the city. I believe he's starting a lot of programs up there that are contrary to what you just said. But
I know that's unfortunate, because she's supposed to be very progressive.
Bianca, we're coming up on break, and we probably want to have you again on later, because you speak for a powerful side of the story that we want to be told and maybe go into with you deeper. Thank you very, very much for calling in tonight. Thank you for everything you've done to help the recall, and God bless you, and have a great holiday weekend, okay?
Thanks, guys. Anytime. My pleasure.
Thank you very, very much. We're coming up on a break here. We've got another San Francisco caller afterwards, then Glenn from Simi Valley. I want to tell everybody again that call in at 1-800-222-5222. And again, it is 790 KABC, sponsored by Where We Need Your Money at recallgavin2020.com. It's Friday nights at the French Laundry.
Rules do not apply to us, we are the leaders. Voters can't be trusted to be indoor eaters. They are more contagious after all, they're mouth breathers.
KABC dependable traffic right now. Once again, a reminder, if you're heading out of town via Interstate 15 in the Cajon Pass, expect some pretty big delays still, even at this later hour, from before the 215 freeway merge in Devore all the way through the Cajon Pass. Once you hit the summit, good drive through the Victor Valley. But again, if you're heading that way, getting out of town, traffic is log jam in the Cajon Pass, typical for a Friday, and extra slow now in front of the holiday weekend. 101 freeway southbound from Santa Monica Boulevard in Hollywood to the 4-level downtown, big delays. We're just getting word of a stall. 101 freeway eastbound at Liberty Canyon Road is now clearing to the right shoulder, but heads up there for a pinch of slowing. That's dependable traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
Texting privacy. With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision.
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Is QuickBooks slowing your business down? Do you have challenges managing inventory, project profitability, or just getting paid fast enough? Get your business to a better place and graduate to NetSuite today. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place, instantaneously. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite.
Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/info. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/info. netsuite.com/info.
32. Ben Shapiro.
If you want to go forward as a country, you have to stop lumping every single person together with the worst aspects of the other side.
What does America think? It's brilliant!
Ben Shapiro. Weekday afternoons at 3, just before Dan Bongino on AM 790 KABC. You've only had an appetizer. This is your Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Orrin Heatley, maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual tasty restaurant of California politics, where the entree is the recall of Gavin Newsom, sponsored by, will be continue to be sponsored by, if we get your donations at recallgavin2020.com. Keep us on the air. Keep the voice of the people out there. Former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, what Randy referred to last time, says that disinfected people began the recall, not GOP and power grab. And Arnold would know. This is a repeat of what happened before with just different issues. And it's all over the state. I think every single county turned in signatures. Got Magdalena on the line right now. Magdalena, you're in San Francisco. You call yourself the Recall Groupie.
Hi, everybody. I'm the Recall Gavin groupie. How y'all doing tonight?
We're doing fantastic.
I'm glad you have Jeff. They had Jeff on the air because I'm helping him putting some of his stuff in audio. Liberty Lockdown is a really good film. I want to just make a pitch for the film. I've been in touch with Jeff. I missed him by a hair on that Friday. That Friday he was in San Francisco. You know, I also want to say something. I have something I never told you guys. You know, when you say that, you know, Gavin says, "Oh, this is a bunch of right wing or whatever," I'm a B in the LGBT, and I'm a liberal, and I'm in San Francisco, and I oppose Gavin Newsom because he is ruining our state and ruining our city. And Jeff, movie Liberty Lockdown is wonderful, and I'm glad you're all supporting his movie because he's really putting himself on the line about this movie. This movie, the trailer blows me away. The book is great about Recall Gavin Newsom, and we just need to keep reminding people it's not just about the COVID crisis. There's AB5, there's SB 145. You know, things that he passed like 400 executive orders without even his legislator being involved with it. And some point of reference.
No, it's interesting. And Randy, you made the point earlier about, you know, how the press tries to paint everything as X, Y, or Z. But again, two straight callers from San Francisco. Magdalena's been with us for months, helping us out. Bianca spoke at our events. Do you think, Randy, that the press is, what do you think the press's motivation is? Are they just a portion of the machine? Or why aren't they reporting on the true condition?
Well, I don't want to paint the brush, the press with one brush.
Yeah, I agree. Good point.
Because, I mean, if you were to Google right now, Recall Gavin Newsom, Recall Gavin 2020, I think there's now, I mean, literally 3.5 million stories and or segments and or news items that have been written about us in the last 6 or 7 months. That's staggering. So I don't want to paint all media with some brush, but let's just tell it like it is. We have our list of people that we know are serious journalists, and we know those who are out here to do a hatchet job. And so we don't even have to identify who they are. We just know who they are. And when we get the calls from them and they say, hey, we're doing a story about X, Y, and Z, we're going to say, listen, why should we even comment in regards to, you've already written the story yourselves. Why should we even add to your this farcical piece you're about ready to do? So again, I think overall the media has been very good to us. The media loves an underdog. They love this story because if it wasn't for us, they wouldn't have anything to write about. And if you sit and think about that, they wouldn't have anything to talk about on talk radio. They wouldn't have anything to be able to shoot for their news segments or to work on their documentaries as well. So I don't want to paint the media as one brush. I just want to make sure that we keep telling our story every single day about what we're doing, and it's about the people and the people and the people and the ones who are really working so hard to make this thing happen.
Magdalena, how long have you lived in San Francisco?
41 years almost. And I want to mention something else about the Chronicle. The Chronicle is owned by the Getty family, and Gavin Newsom is tied to the Getty family. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the media here locally gets skewed around to support him because he has ties to the Getty family. I've been there, June 18th will be 41 years I've been in San Francisco.
Wow. I think if I could weigh in real quick, because I have another angle on what Randy had just said. And Randy, good job. You're absolutely right. And to the Chronicles, not to their benefit, but to their credit, they have really painted this in a fair and impartial way for the most part. Okay, there's been some salty articles in there, but for the most part, I think they've done a fairly good job. But I think that the more they continue to push the COVID and French Laundry down our throats, the less people are going to look into the real reasons behind this recall. And it is a smokescreen, and there is an agenda behind it. And I think that they want to keep us dumbed down and keep us, focused on one thing, because people are, they're generally attracted to the shiny objects, and the COVID and French Laundry are the shiny objects that they've given people to focus on. And it turns their attention away from the real damage that's being done in our state and the true suffering that people are going through and experiencing right now.
Excellent point.
That's a great point, Orrin. Great point. Magdalena, could you do me a favor before you leave the air and tell Eric, since he's an official attorney that we have, not often we have a full-board attorney with a real license, right, Eric?
That's what I heard as of yesterday.
Tell me a little bit about the attitude of San Francisco toward your district attorney, because there's the same problem down here in LA and with the attorney general. I mean, how do San Francisco's Siskins on the street actually feel about? I mean, because I go up to San Francisco and I'm like, So tell Eric about that. I want to hear his response.
I feel personally that Chester Bodine is a great district attorney. He is a protege of Jeff Adachi, and we know what happened to Jeff Adachi. So, a lot of people, when the campaign went between Chester and another lady, they were doing a lot. The police do not like Chester Bodine. He's trying to cover all these truths that's going on, and that's why they're kind of getting on his case. So that is the truth about Chester Bodine. I'm a supporter of Chester Bodine. I think he's doing a great job, and that's my take from my perspective, because he's a protege of Jeff Adachi. His parents were arrested and thrown in jail for what they believed in, and he is for the people. But a lot of people don't like what he stands for, because he's trying to get all these corrupted cops and people that are corrupt in our government.
This is Eric speaking. I don't know who that guy is up there, but I'm not sort of enjoying sort of the way you're describing him, frankly. And if he's anything like this district attorney we have down here named George Gascon, then I'm not happy about him.
He's not like George Gascon, not in the least.
Okay, well then that's a good thing.
This is San Francisco horse's mouth.
Okay, well you certainly know.
But I know about Gascon.
Gascon came from up there, so he was.
Yeah, I know. That's why we ran him out of town.
But you know what?
Unfortunately, ended up down here.
I absolutely love in this conversation. This is what we're trying to do, is bring a diversity of people and points of view so we have a discussion. We need to have and the thing is, we're not, Orrin, you had a great point. It's like they're trying to keep us focused on this shiny object called COVID, not what lies beneath. Good name for a radio show, by the way. And they're trying to keep us focused on the French Laundry, right? Because we get it, Gavin got caught, et cetera, et cetera. And you actually taught me something, Magdalena, before we on the call tonight. I had forgotten that the Chronicle is owned by the Getty family. Shocking.
I I have a question about that because I did a little fact checking, as we do on this show, make sure that we get the facts straight. Magdalena, the San Francisco Chronicle is owned by the Hearst Corporation. Is there a Getty connection with the Hearst Corporation?
I believe there is. Yes, I believe it. Don't quote me anything, but I believe there is. But Gavin's tied with the Getty family, and I think the Getty family is tied with the Hearst family and all that good stuff. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong.
Sounds very Citizen Kane to me.
I'm going to learn a little bit about that tonight because I really appreciate.
Yeah, it is because obviously that goes back to what we used to call what started as yellow journalism, and I think Magdalena, thank you very much. Thanks for calling in and all the work that you do for us. I'd like to go next to Glenn from Simi Valley, if I could, who says it's important to recall Gavin Newsom. This just in. Glenn, why do you think it's important to recall Gavin?
Well, simply because Gavin is one of the golden boys of the New World Order. Gavin Newsom and his like want to establish a whole new paradigm for the United States, and unfortunately it's an international consortium to do the same thing. The COVID green passes, the vaccine passes, are just the beginning, my friends, of the surveillance, control, and monitoring of the citizens of the United States and citizens throughout the world. And they're using COVID as their excuse. It's their foot in the door to get their New World Order established. And that New World Order is nothing to do with our Constitution. It's the antithesis to the U.S. Constitution. And if the American people don't wake up, whatever rights we have today will be far gone in the near future. And we will become a United States under corporate rule.
Glenn, that's interesting point, and that's what we say sometimes, that the big corporations are taking over. And I want to stress, too, that sometimes what happens is we go U.S., we go global. We in this show are trying to focus to your original point. Very well taken, Glenn. That we need to focus on California politics and the California politician because it starts at home. Glenn, thank you very, very much for your call. Thank you for being a regular listener, I hope. And remember, when you can, help us in the fight by contributing to recallgavin2020.com. Thanks. Everybody out there, we're going to go to break, but before we do, there's a lot of things we need to talk about. Some of the things we need to talk about that we need to get to on the show tonight. We want you to call in to discuss at 1-800-222-5222 some of the deeper things about EDD, award of no bid contracts, the thing and the putting of people with COVID in homes that shouldn't be there. Everybody out there, call 1-800-222-5222. It's Friday Nights at the French Laundry, KABC, sponsored by We Need the Money. Donate to us. RecallGavin2020.com.
After all, their mouth breathers. Just tell them it's important to follow all the law. How any violation might kill a grandma.
AM 790.
KABC.
KABC News at 8:30 on this Good Friday. I'm Sharon Reardon. The U.S. Capitol Police say the second officer hurt in today's attack at the Capitol is in stable condition. He's expected to recover. Officer William Evans was killed when suspect Noah Green rammed a barrier with his car and came out with a knife. Green was shot and killed by police. Results of a new study give hope to kids diagnosed with a common form of cancer.
The UCLA Children's Hospital Los Angeles study finds that a low-calorie diet and moderate exercise can dramatically improve the survival of children and adolescents with the most common childhood cancer, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The study says patients who reduce their calorie intake by at least 10% and adopted a moderate exercise program immediately after diagnosis had 70% less of a chance of lingering leukemia cells after a month of chemotherapy. Jim Roop, KABC News.
And Orange County set a new record for COVID-19 vaccinations yesterday. Orange County CEO Frank Kim says they did 13,400. He says he's hoping today's numbers are even higher. The markets closed in honor of Good Friday. KABC SoCal weather. Mostly clear skies for now, partly cloudy later with lows in the mid-40s to mid-50s. Partly cloudy in the morning, then sunny later with highs up to the mid-60s at the beaches, mid to upper 70s for the inland and valley areas. Currently, it's 60 degrees in Orange, 63 in Encino, and it's 56 degrees in El Segundo. The 25K weekday payday is back on 790 KABC. Listen every hour weekdays between 8 a.m. and 5:30 for your shot at $100 and possibly $25,000 on 790 KABC. Traffic is next, and then stay with us for more Friday Night at the French Laundry.
KABC dependable traffic right now. 10 freeway eastbound through Mid-City. Still some off and on commute slowing in effect from about Robertson and extending toward the downtown district. 110 freeway northbound just past the 10 freeway interchange downtown. Stalled car earlier in the right lane, just now clearing, but some moderate slowing in spots northbound 110 heading toward downtown. And 101 freeway southbound from Hollywood at about Santa Monica Boulevard toward the 4-level. Some off and on commute slowing in effect there. On the 10 freeway, westbound before the 710 stall clearing, heads up, heading that way. That's dependable traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
New puppy? Shop online at Chewy. Get food, beds, prescriptions, and more. We've got everything you need to welcome your new friend home. Plus, it ships fast in just 1 to 2 days. Visit Chewy.com or download the app today.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick! Sorry, kids!
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision.
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
The 25K weekday payday on AM 790 KABC is back. Listen for the national keyword between 8 and 6 for your shot at $100 and possibly much more. 25,000 more. Full rules at KABC.com. It's Friday night at the French Laundry. On the menu tonight, A Better California with Executive Chef Orrin Heatley, Maitre d' Mike Netter, and the wise cashier, Randy Economy.
Welcome back, everybody, to our virtual restaurant of California politics. I get more fired up, if you haven't noticed, as the show goes on, because I do a lot of reading on Gavin Newsom like everybody does. And Orrin had a great point earlier about the press is always, and again, to Randy, to your point, it's not the press, it's not the government, it's individuals within these spheres. We don't talk about them as one big entity, and I think that's part of the problem. But it's very, very interesting, an article that came out today where certain members of the press report on things and then they don't carry on here. This is from the California Globe, sent to me by my chiropractor, by the way. Everybody's looking here. By the way, I'm supposed to give... Orrin, I understand we have an order up from Vince.
We do, Vince. Thank you very much for your kind donation. It is going to go a long way to help move this thing forward.
Ring the bell.
Yes, people.
Give him a ring.
I did earlier, and I don't think it came out, but ring it again. Vince, thank you very much for the donation.
We need a good ring, Orrin, every once in a while, you know?
The
we all need our bell
potatoes
rung.
are ready.
But listen,
if there's anybody else that is just now joining the show, this is a listener-supported show, and we also have a listener and donor-supported recall that's taking place, and we need your donations desperately. The opposition has opened their war chest, and they have come out with their first attack, and we need funds to help fund the fight. So you can donate directly to recallgavin2020.com.
Now, another reason this is something that really ticks me off. I know, Orrin, it's one of your pet peeves. And Eric, I want to get your opinion on what we do. There's a headline in the California Globe today. And by the way, this goes back to April 2020. This is something that gets reported in New York because the we say the public's kind of turned on Cuomo. A real important reason we need to recall Gavin Newsom. I want to quote this headline to you. And thank you, by the way, for my chiropractor again for sending this to me. I didn't even see this. California Governor Newsom and 4 other Democratic governors under investigation for nursing home virus deaths. Wait. Last year in April 2020, the California Globe had reported, it was reported by a lot of outlets, that the California Department of Public Health was suspending nursing home regulations to allow COVID-19 patients to be discharged to a skilled nursing facility. It's also come out in another number of articles that the state, the government, upped, if you will, the payments from $300 to $800 to take these patients in. In other words, let's put people with COVID in with people who are the most vulnerable.
Well, I'll tell you something, Mike. This is Eric speaking. And, this Globe article that you're referring to is talking about apparently something that's going to start growing more and more, and that the focus is not just going to be on Andrew Cuomo for sending elderly patients back to nursing home facilities to not only die, but to go in there and unfortunately lead to the deaths of so many other folks that were in those facilities. Apparently this is broadening out. And now we're hearing the name Gavin Newsom, and who might have very well done very similar things. And at the end of the day, those kind of judgment calls in the heat of a crisis, when COVID was at its height, they come down to whether or not your elected officials, your leaders, have good judgment or bad judgment. And there's one thing about this Gavin Newsom, pre-COVID, during COVID, after COVID finally subsides, this guy has terrible judgment. And I think it's largely a function of who he is, where he came from, a pampered child. He was essentially handed this office. He thought he was going to glide into the White House one day. And he is exactly the type that could make the type of horrendous decisions that could lead elderly people with COVID or potentially having COVID to go back to these facilities, elderly facilities, to kill people. So if this turns into what Cuomo's facing now, unfortunately, it wouldn't be surprising, and we have to watch where this goes. But if it takes us where it could take us, we have to investigate it and get to the bottom of it.
Here's what I just don't understand, Eric. I really don't understand. And just another headline here. In the Sacramento Bee, Gavin Newsom, again, Gavin Newsom's no-bid contracts to campaign donors raise troubling ethics questions.
Yep.
Now, the Bee's solution to this was, like Gray Davis back in the day, I'll just give him back the money. You got caught. Now, Eric, as an attorney, you as an attorney, not me, by the way. If you're out there and need an attorney, I'm not your guy. But I don't understand why these issues, if they're legit and legal, doesn't the public at least deserve a deep investigation on this? Kevin Kiley called for an investigation through the legislature on this.
Kevin's right.
Shield, but nobody does anything.
Well,
the attorney generals, who's defending us? Who's watching? Who's supervising the governor of California?
Well, first, let me step back a second. It is the attorney general, but what you're talking about is, and something we alluded to the last show, we have a bidding structure. There's statutes in place in California. If you want to send out and get somebody to get a multi-million-dollar contract from the state has to send it out for public bids. So people, vendors, providers up and down the state can bid on it, so the people can get the best deal, so that our taxpayer money, as little as possible can be spent on it. So there's no favoritism. Money's not going out to, people who might be given kickbacks and such. And we have a governor here who has used this COVID crisis to send out and enter into several billion with a B, $1 billion in no bid contracts. He's picked friends of his, companies of his that know him, companies that are on the record. You could see from their public records of having donated thousands, tens of thousands, hundred thousands to Newsom and to Newsom's pet projects and favorite people. And this entire situation has to be investigated, and the person, to answer your question, to do the investigation, to lead it, is the Attorney General of the State of California. Problem is, we had Becerra in there till just the other day. He's gone off to Washington. He was appointed by the last one, Brown, to cover his butt. And now this Newsom just appointed this joke named Rob Bonta. And, already the last thing this guy Bonta is going to do is do the proper kind of investigation that's needed to get to the bottom of this, what could be terrible corruption.
So our recourse right now is to recall the governor of California. Oren, how do you feel about the nursing homes? I know this is one of your things you've been talking about.
Well, I think that, just like you shared, I mean, if he took and put sick, infected patients into nursing homes, or if he created an environment that made that profitable for the nursing homes to do, then he's guilty de facto for whatever happened as a result. It was his policy that drove it, and he's solely responsible for those actions that he took. And, I think that it needs to be looked into more, and the truth needs to be uncovered as to what took place and what actions what participation he had in making that happen.
And Randy, with noting that it's also come out that it's not real clear, like the other state, New York, that the statistics were fairly transparent to the public about what was going on in the nursing homes. What would you as an investigative journalist do about that, political pirate?
Well, I'd want to, obviously this is one of those revolving stories that frustrates me as a journalist, because we don't have many good investigative journalists anymore who take the time to do the heavy digging. And I think, we need to get back to some fundamentals here in media, and we need to develop a new crop, a new era of real hardcore, Woodward and Bernstein's back in the day from the Nixon.
Well, let me add to that, Randy. We have to have investigative reporters who will actually investigate both sides of the aisle, not just investigate Republicans. People in the press who will investigate and do deep dives into this corrupt cesspool of a Democrat power structure in this state. That's what we need.
And going back to what I said at the beginning of the show, it's a long season, everybody, and everybody needs to get involved. Randy, Oren, Eric, I don't care if it's a poll. I don't care if it's a news article. I don't care if it's a banner. There's a lot of reasons we need to recall the governor of California, and it's time those issues go deeper than just about why the recall shouldn't happen, because whether you like it or not, it is going to happen. Remember, everybody, we need to keep the fight going. Please donate again if you can tonight. Oren's going to ring the bell for you. Recall Gavin2020.com. Keep this show going. Keep the movement going. Take California back. It's KABC 790, Friday nights at the French Laundry. Next, a Democrat on the line.
I had Bandolindo gatherings, just a prime example of a really big hypocrisy.
KABC, dependable traffic right now on the 405 freeway northbound at Rinaldi Street, northern Chevroneta Valley. Stalled car just cleared out of the way, but traffic still a little pinch slow as you make your way toward the 5 freeway merge in the Northern Valley. And 5 freeway northbound through the Newhall Pass, a little bit of extra crowding on this getaway Friday. Also on the 10 freeway eastbound before the 405, earlier stall cleared out of the way there, off and on extra slow going towards Santa Monica. And then some intermittent slowing eastbound 10 through Mid-City heading toward the downtown district. That's dependable traffic. I'm Richard Turnage, AM 790 KABC.
Hi, this is Stephanie from Safeway. Hop on over for all your Easter essentials. You'll find everything you need at Safeway. Fresh produce like local green asparagus grown out of Lodi, California for 99 cents a pound. Traditional favorites like Signature Select Classic Ham. Shanker Butt Half only 87 cents per pound while supplies last. And treats like Dreyer's Ice Cream, 1.5 quart just $2.79. Plus everything else for your Easter baskets. Safeway is your one-stop hop for Easter. This is Stephanie from Safeway, and we'll see you soon.
For ship.
Ben Shapiro.
I understand that everybody in the media is just obsessed with Orange Man Bad, but Orange Man Bad is not the president anymore. Now you got this crap show on your hands. At some point, you might want to start covering it.
Duh. Ben Shapiro, weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 790 KABC. You've only had an appetizer. This is your Friday night at the French Laundry with Chef Orrin Heatley, Maitre d' Mike Netter, and head cashier Randy Economy.
Welcome back to our final segment here, where we are cooking up a change about California. And again, I want everybody is welcome at our virtual restaurant. This is across all parties, across all ethnic groups, across all religions. No matter what you're doing or who you are, we need to take California back for the people. And I'm tired of hearing that from, look, again, the press are fine people on a general basis. Some of them write stories like they've got a point to prove. Newsom, you're not running against Orrin Heatley, Mike Netter, and Randy Economy, in case you haven't figured it out. You're trying to tell the people of California why you should remain governor. And now we have, not shocking but true, a Democrat on the line. Evan from Rosemead, how the heck are you?
Mr. Economy, thank you for taking my call. I am 70 years old. I'm a registered Democrat going back to George McGovern, but I think pretty boy Governor Newsom has to go. He's taken away our liberties, and once they take liberties away, how do we know they're going to give them back to us? And we're falling in line. We're standing in lines. We're accepting this stuff, and I think there has to be a better way. And I want him recalled for that reason, and I support your what you're trying to do.
Mr. Economy, you should respond to that.
Well, I agree, and I love the city of Rosemead, and I welcome those comments that you just made. And again, this is we're starting we're reigniting the revolution here in California, and it's not anything other than we the people, and this is why we're going to get this thing done. Is because of people like you who really don't give a hoot about Democratic or Republican or party registration. It's much bigger than that, and you get it.
They're taking away our liberties. What worries me is when they take stuff away, how do we know they're going to give it back to us?
They won't give it back.
And Evan,
there you go.
You're bringing up a point I make all the time. Some are Democrats, some are Republicans, some are this or some are that. But it's time everybody out there again recognize we're all Californians, all right? It's time we discussed, like you're saying, Evan, the issues which are taking away our liberties. Maybe we'll get them back, maybe we won't. It's time to discuss the issues where apparently money is going a certain direction where maybe it shouldn't. It's time to address the mechanism where we put people maybe where they shouldn't be in a possible call a scandal, if you will, of putting people in nursing homes with COVID. It's time we address the challenge that EDD seem to have in not recognizing who's legitimately unemployed and who isn't. Wouldn't you agree with that, Evan? It's time we took our state back as Californians?
Of course I do, but I want you to know this. Democrats like our freedoms, too. It's not a Republican issue. Democrats want our liberties and our freedoms, and I'm one of them.
Mm-hmm. Evan, God bless you. Thank you very much for the call.
Happy Easter, and God bless you guys, and good luck on your campaign.
Thank you very, very much.
God
Remember,
bless you.
recallgavin20door.com. Stay with us for updates.
You know, one-party rule is never good, Mike. Go ask the people of North Korea.
Yeah.
Okay, and we've been living in a one-party state here for how long now? Can't even remember.
Okay, I got to stop the show right now and say you've got to donate to recallgavin2020.com so Orrin can buy a bigger bell.
I know you heard the bell. I had to hear the bell. Ellen, God bless you. Thank you so much for your generous donation tonight. It is going to help us move the ball closer to the goal line. Thank you so much.
I thought that was the halibut.
It is. Anytime an order is up and we get a donation, I ring the bell and Mike is going to intro right to me. Then we're going to do this again every week from now on. This has been productive, folks. We really appreciate your donations. This is probably the last time Mike will let me talk on the air tonight, and God bless you all. Have a good night.
Thank you, Warren. Listen, everybody out there, please take focus in the next few minutes. Hear what we're telling you out there. We understand the news has a job to do, but to Graham's point earlier in the show, we, the people, need to become the media. We do this show and have the campaign funded for the show by you, the people, so the people have a voice. The recall is about the voice of all Californians, as you've heard tonight. It's about the Democrats. It's about the Republicans. It's about the ones that haven't made up their mind yet, to quote Casey Stengel for the baseball season. It is about all California uniting together, asking for accountability. Gavin Newsom, we want accountability. Let's be really clear. We want accountability for the no-bid contracts. We want an investigation to be open to find out, not just return the money because you got caught. We want to understand how this can possibly happen. How can you possibly have emergency procurement powers and ask them for another year? How is that possible? Why, Gavin? You didn't know the vaccine was coming? How, Gavin, is your contract of Blue Shield, as per other articles coming out, probably slowing down the distribution of the vaccine? How is it possible, Gavin, that amongst your many meetings when you weren't going to dinner at the French Laundry, you didn't heed the EDD officials a year ago when they said things are probably going to go horribly wrong, Gavin, because the computer system's bad and we're not cross-referencing. How can you explain the contract, which I believe, as reported by Scott Rod, was $500 million, that was supposed to fix the EDD, that the return on it was nothing? How, Gavin, are you going to explain how you sent some of our citizens to California to nursing homes and then didn't report statistics to you? We just want to know the answers, Gavin, and you haven't given them to us. So it's probably time that we have to do something and recall you. Randy, some final thoughts in our couple minutes here?
Just keep paying attention, everybody. This campaign is here. It's more than a thing now. It's really been a remarkable last number of months, and I'm just thrilled and honored that we're getting to that next level.
Thank you.
And don't forget to listen to the Randy Economy Show tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.
That's right. Listen to the Randy Economy Show tomorrow.
Recall Radio.
Recall Radio. What time's it on tomorrow, Randy?
Tomorrow night's on 9 p.m.
9 p.m. So remember, when you're looking around going, man, Friday nights at the French Laundry isn't on. What am I going to do with my Saturday night? At 9 o'clock, Randy's on the same station. Eric, give us some final thoughts about things that you heard tonight that can unite California, how Californians should pay attention.
Listen, first of all, thanks again for having me, guys. I love being with you. Evan said it very well, the caller. This is about protecting our freedom and our liberty. That is the foundation of this incredible country. And this is about protecting a government that is of, by, and for the people. Instead of what we've been living through in this state and now in so many other parts in the country where we have a government that has forgotten the people and treats all of us as if we're somehow their peasants. And Gavin Newsom is Exhibit A of that kind of arrogant, tyrannical point of view. So this fight is an incredible fight. This movement is incredible, and I'm just so glad to be a part of it.
And I want to encourage everybody in the 3 minutes we have left, please give Orrin the Cook something to do. Contribute to us at recallgavin2020.com. Make Orrin ring that bell multiple times, because I want you to think of this. Every time Orrin rings that dinner bell, That is a ring for funding the freedom of this state. And I'm not saying that to be hyperbole. The reality is we are a movement of the people of California. And if you're out there listening to the show tonight, and Gavin, I know that you are, in the 2 minutes I have left, I want to tell you this. There are at least 2.1 million Californians that don't like you. And there's a lot more. And it's time, Gavin, you stood up and be accountable. Every time that bell rings helping fund our show is just and fund the movement as we move forward. Remember, guys, it's a long season. It's like baseball. April 29th, this gets certified. We move into the summer months. We continue the campaign, and about the time of the World Series, there will be an election. Stand with us at recallgavin2020.com. No matter who you are, it's time we took California back because it's our state. Oren, do you have any final words?
Get on board or get off the tracks because this train's coming and we're not looking back.
Got it. That's very well put. We have about a minute left, and thank you for everybody who called tonight. Thank you for listening to our show. Remember, EDD we covered tonight. We covered these no-bid contracts. We covered the people being put in nursing home by Gavin's government that probably shouldn't be there. Read the stories deeper to us. Continue to listen to us. Go to our website at recallgavin2020.com. Stage 2 of the fight to take California back has just begun. This has been KABC Radio, Friday nights at the French Laundry. This just in, will be on again next Friday night. I'm Mike Netter, accompanied by Orrin Heatley, Eric Early tonight, and the fabulous political pilot, Randy Economy. Thank you very much. It's our state, it's our movement, it's our media, it's our time. RecallGavin2020.com. Friday nights at the French Laundry. We'll be talking to you next week. God bless.